Welcome, everyone. I think people are still starting to drop in, but thanks for joining us here. We appreciate it. We've got Tod Leiweke and Ron Francis on the line here. Really quick, before we get started, just a quick reminder, if you're not actively asking a question, we just ask that you mute your microphone so we can keep things clear. And then again, if you can, please use the hand raise function if you have a question. That way we won't be talking all over each other. But with that, we can feel free to use that hand raise function and get some questions loaded up. And we'll start with Mike Benton.
Gentlemen, hey, thanks so much. This question here for Tod, and I think a two-parter, if you will. Just how proud are you for the way that this season has materialized in season 2 in Seattle, and then where that bar maybe is set right here to define success for this playoff stretch drive?
Well, I'm very proud. I'm proud of Ron. I'm proud of our coaches. I'm proud of our players. And I'm so happy for our fans who have been on a heck of a ride with us. And these fans all signed up before they knew what the arena was going to be, before they knew the team name, before they knew a lot of things. And it's awesome to see their faith rewarded here.
Scott Malone.
Ron, at the end of last year, you talked a lot about how you felt the team's record wasn't as the team played better than its end record was. You pointed to a lot of those 1-goal games. How rewarding is it for you? And what do you think has been sort of the driving force behind the turnaround from sort of where things were last year to now getting ready for a playoff series?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's all the players and the staff, right? The coaching staff, give them a lot of credit. The staff never changed their plan all season long. Last year was a tough year. They continue to work and try and implement our system and develop our players. Our players never quit working. It was a frustrating season, but it's been, it's been good to see the guys smiling. It's been good to see them, kind of laughing on the bus and on the plane and enjoying things more. And they've earned it. They've worked hard to get to this point, and now they get a chance to compete for the Stanley Cup, which is what they wanted at the start of the year. So we're excited about it.
Curtis Crabtree.
Hey, Ron, how big of a blow was the Berkovsky news, and when did you start to realize that it wasn't going to get over the hump for you guys for him to get back here and needed some surgical intervention?
Yeah, no, it's obviously when he went out, he was our leading scorer. Ironically, I think when Jaden Swartz went out last year, he was our leading scorer. So it's always tough when you're trying to replace your leading scorer, but we felt all along there was a chance he was coming back until as recent as last week when he had another setback, and that's when we went in a different direction. So certainly it's disappointing to not have a guy of his caliber in the lineup, but our guys have continued to work hard without him in there, and that's not going to change here moving forward.
RJ Escanos.
Hey, Ron, question for you. From what you've seen of Shane Wright's season in Windsor, how do you think he's grown through that experience, and what are you hoping he gets out of this playoff run in Coachella Valley?
Yeah, so I mean, Shane got 5 exhibition games at the NHL level, got 8 NHL games, so that's 13 pro games there. Spent another 4, I think, in Coachella earlier in the year, and then got the captain of World Junior Canadian team to a gold medal and play some junior hockey, and now he's back in Coachella. So we forget how young these kids are. It takes time to develop them, and it's a process to get them to where they want to get to and to where we want him to get to, but he's tracking in the right direction for sure.
Tim Booth.
Hey, Ron, one quick follow-up about Andre. Was surgery an option for him? Was a discussion from the start when the injury first happened?
No, we fully expected him to be back in 4 weeks from the initial injury.
Okay. And then is it possible to quantify kind of the value and importance for this year's team of having sort of normal interactions away from the ice, being able to do team activities that you simply couldn't do in the first year because of the COVID restrictions?
Yeah, I mean, everybody was dealing with it. It was probably a little bit harder for us just in the sense that we had all these new players trying to learn a new system, their families new in the area. We had a bunch of different team events planned to start the season. We couldn't do any of them because of COVID flare-ups and things happening. We couldn't really do anything over the course of the season. I think we finally were able to kind of do a fun event the start of this year in training camp up in Kananaskis, sort of with the players to sort of get everybody together and do that. Was really the first time we got to do something. And, I think it was just important last year. You're trying to learn system, you're trying to learn each other, you're trying to learn the city, and, not being able to sort of have that camaraderie at some different team functions to kind of push that process along a little quicker certainly wasn't beneficial to us.
Darren Brown.
Thanks, Ben. Question for Todd. Todd, I'm wondering if you can share anything about any special plans for home playoff games here in terms of game ops, and also if I can just kind of get some commentary from you on how the game ops team has done in terms of creating a tough atmosphere to play in for opposing teams this year.
Well, I want to echo Ron's comments. Starting a franchise in the middle of a global pandemic's not exactly how you want to go about things. And we got the building about a week before it opened. So I would say a lot of that was work in progress our first season. We're pretty satisfied that we've got a great game experience going on now. But I'm also really happy that our team isn't resting on any laurels here. We want to push it. We're going to have a new open for the playoffs, and we're just going to keep pushing. We think there's an upside, but the best thing we have in that building isn't the bricks and mortars or the lights or sound effects. It's really our fans, and they have been awesome from day one, and they are loud. I think our players feel it, and I just can't wait. A week from this day, we might have a little bit of a seismic event happen here in this town again.
Allison Lucan.
This question is for Ron. Ron, obviously the players play the game, but what can you say specifically about the work that Dave Axtell and his staff have done this season to help achieve the success of the team?
Yeah, I know. I think probably Dave and his staff took maybe a little unfair heat last year based on how our season went, but it's great to see the team having the success, and I think a lot of that points to Dave and his staff. I mean, they've been consistent in their approach on how they want to play the game. They've been consistent in their approach of how they want to create that culture in the locker room, and how you earn your opportunity with this team, and I think it's translated into a great environment with our players. They like each other, they like playing, and they like playing for the coaching staff we have, and it's been successful so far.
RJ.
Thanks. Question for Todd. With the playoff trailer the team released last week, the organization clearly values and is leaning into Seattle's history with our other teams. How has your past experience with the Seahawks and the Sounders kind of informed that and influenced your vision for what playoff hockey is going to look like at Climate Pledge?
Well, I've worked for two different teams in this town, and I've always had great reverence for the fans here. And when I talked about a seismic event, I remember our NFC Championship game literally at the Seahawks showing up at UW on the Richter scale. The fans are unique here, and it's part of why I came back. It's part of what we used to recruit Ron Francis. We told him the fans here have the potential to be the best in the NHL. The NHL has great fans, and we're ascending our way. But I really believe the fans have been unbelievable. And it can sound corny sometimes when you talk about the fans, but if you really think about the journey they've been on, they responded billboards and some press releases and signed up. They've been with us the whole way. They didn't know that we were going to end up developing the arena the way we did. They didn't know the team name. They didn't know the players. They didn't know the GM. They didn't know the coach. They took this amazing leap of faith, and it's now payback time, and it's a really exciting thing.
Thanks, Todd.
Mike.
Yeah, question here for Ron, just touching more on Dave Axtell and his influence. And Ron, when you speak of the players and their belief and the culture that's in that room, what have you noticed about Dave's core values that go back to when you first hired him that kind of put the sense and install the sense that this would, be manifesting here into something that we're seeing today?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, Dave is, he's a great person, good family man, hardworking, knowledgeable. There's no games with him. He's pretty direct in his approach and honest. And I think that's important in today's game with your players. I was fortunate. I first got to spend some time with him in the World Championships over in Slovakia when he was on the Canadian coaching staff. And we rode from Switzerland up to Czechoslovakia to scout a game together, spent a few hours in the car and had some hockey conversations and just really enjoyed, getting to know him. And, it's great to see that sort of personality coming out and him having some success because, I think it's well deserved for all the effort and his time that he's put into building this franchise and helping his players be successful.
Darren.
Ron, at the beginning of the season, and even the off season over the summer, you had said that the goal this year was to make the playoffs. You've obviously done that. Now that we're at this point, how do you define a successful playoff run here? And then actually have a follow-up for Tod after that.
Yeah, I know. I'd be lying if I told you every year I'm not, my goal is to get the playoffs and from my experience, all you need is an invitation to the dance. There's, we have a chance now to compete and ultimately win the Stanley Cup. And I can tell you our belief in that locker room is that, that's what our goal is. And we're going to do everything we possibly can to win 16 games over the next few months.
And Tod, you were part of a playoff run very early in the history of the Minnesota Wild back in the day and saw what that can do for a community where a team goes deep early on in its life. What can that do for Seattle if the Kraken are able to make a little bit of a run here?
Well, I think we're bringing new fans in every day. And I think there's folks who haven't seen us play, who will now see us play in a wonderful, in the best tournament there is, the Stanley Cup Finals. So this is obviously a really great thing for what we're doing. And it's great to bring new fans along, but the best part is to reward the fans who've been there from day one.
Thank you.
Tim.
Since Darren just stole my question. Tod, what do you remember from that first playoff game in Minnesota and maybe also your first playoff game after you went to Tampa?
Well, those were two different things, really, but it was year 3 for the Minnesota Wild. We were down 1-3 in 2 consecutive series and came back and won it in 7. So I'd say the takeaway there is anything can happen. Teams don't get there by chance, just like our team. We've had amazing moments this year, and I am so proud of this team. I'm also immensely proud of the other guy I'm on the call here with, Ron Francis. When he walked off the elevator at the hotel, I almost wanted to get his autograph. I've admired this guy for a long time, and no one deserves this any more than he does. He has fought so hard in these past years to get this team built. And we're, I think there's more to be done. We're still going to build and work hard. But when you look at what's happened with not only the team here, but the team in Coachella Valley and the team in Kansas City, all 3 of these teams have made playoffs. And it's just a super exciting thing for us and our fans.
Ryan Clark.
Hey, Ron, you think about the fact that this is your first time into the playoffs as a general manager. What would you say for you are the things that you learn in this job compared to when you're in Carolina? And also, do you ever think back to when you first got into management and think about now and look at the journey? And if so, what would you say is the biggest takeaway?
Yeah, I think it's a little more, if you're a player, you get to go out there, right? You get to influence the game a little bit more because you're on the ice. You probably get to, burn off a little bit more of your emotions. In the GM chair, you're kind of sitting there and watching, and you can't really be out there. You can't really do anything. And, you feel for your players, you feel for your coaches, you feel for your fans and your ownership. And, but it's a little harder because you can't be out there and playing. But I think you try and learn something every day. When I was a player, I was fortunate enough to win a couple cups. So there's things you learn along the way there. you try and have those conversations with your coaches staff and your players and kind of share some of those things. We have a lot of guys in our lineup that have won Stanley Cup, so they know what it takes and they know how hard it is over the next few months. But we think that's also valuable in our locker room. We have a young, budding star and Matty Beniers that this is just a great experience for him to get in and see what playoff hockey's like and experience this. So, a lot of positives. And as a GM, you just kind of happy for the people that have, having the success, like I said earlier, the players and the staff and our fans, our ownership have all been tremendous. So excited to see them doing that and happy to sort of sit and watch them perform here as we move forward.
We have any other questions here before we let them both head out?
Hey, I'd just like to acknowledge and recognize everything that a guy who would have been on this call who's not with us today, and that's Andy Odd. He was another guy that went on this journey, and he might have been the first guy to go on the journey relative to the media. He was here, he was ready. He was an incredible giant, and I'm going to think about him at every turn of this playoff run. And if we do what I hope we're going to do some of that in tribute to him.
All right. Well, thanks everyone. Thanks, Todd. I appreciate that and appreciate everyone's time.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.